I know what you're thinking. You saw the title and said to yourself, who does this guy think he is? Hate myself? Does he know how good looking I am? Has he even seen my bitching new haircut? Does he know I once trained for a half marathon and actually ran part of it? I'm totally in love with myself. What the fuck does he know? Look, I admit, your hair is pretty awesome. But let's get real here. If we're really honest with ourselves, we all have a little self-loathing going on from time to time. Okay, maybe a lot of self-loathing going on, depending on the degree of trauma you've sustained, and how many episodes of Teletubbies you were subjected to as a child. But here's the good news, self-hatred is just part of the human condition. There's nothing inherently wrong with you because you intensely dislike or feel ashamed of certain unsavory aspects of yourself. Everyone does. Even Oprah has to hate herself some of the time, I'm pretty sure. And I'm no exception either, of course. After all, I'm writing a listicle for a website, I must hate some deep, dark corner of myself. We all have dreams we've failed to live up to, ideals we've failed to embody, actions we wish we had or hadn't done, ways in which we wish we could be different. This is normal, and we all must deal with these parts of ourselves that we don't exactly like. Some of us deal with it through avoidance, we sleepwalk through life, never making any serious decisions, following others, and avoiding all difficult tasks or confrontations. Some of us deal with it by numbing ourselves with sex or substances or obsession or distraction. Others try to overcompensate by trying to save the world and bring about a utopia and maybe start another world war in the process. The goal here isn't to get rid of that self-loathing. The only way to do that would be to remove our consciences and or become psychopaths. And we don't want that. I also don't recommend suppressing your self-loathing, or else you might end up shooting up a nightclub in Orlando. No, the solution is to merely minimize our self-hatred by first becoming aware of it, and then learning how to mold it and shape it and control it. The goal here is to manage our disappointments with ourselves, so that they don't end up managing us. That's why this article is called, How to Hate Yourself Less, not How to Stop Hating Yourself Forever and Ever and Be God's Perfect Fucking Snowflake. There is no perfect fucking snowflake. I lived in Boston, I've seen a lot of snowflakes. None of them are perfect. And even if there was, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be it. So, let's get on with it. Here are 9 steps to hate yourself less and learn how to manage your self-loathing better so that you don't turn into a manic depressive or, even worse, a religious nutcase that runs around with signs that say, God hates fags, on it. Step 1. Learn how to say no. The more you hate yourself, the more you will try to please and impress the other people around you all the time. After all, if you secretly believe that you're a rotten piece of shit, then it follows that you will overvalue what other people think of you, and you will unconsciously dedicate all of your efforts to manipulate them into thinking you're not the awful person you secretly believe you are. The word yes gets a lot of hype these days, but I want to bring back the power of saying no. Saying no is pretty awesome when you know when and how to say it right. You say no to doing a bunch of meaningless shit that you don't think is important in life. You say no to people who overstep their boundaries and make unfair demands of your time or attention. You say no to make it clear to others where you stand and what you will not tolerate in your relationships. No is awesome. Saying these no's is difficult, of course. That's because the ability to say a healthy no requires a certain degree of self-respect and self-care. But saying no to the people and things that harm your life rather than help is often the first step to learning how to love and care for yourself. Oh, and of course, you learn to say no to yourself too, to discipline yourself and keep yourself in check, to remind yourself that you don't, in fact, know everything or even know what the hell you're saying or doing half the time. This is such an underrated skill, yet it seems to be lost these days in the give me one of everything age. Oh, and while we're saying no to ourselves. Step 2, stop masturbating all the damn time. No, I don't mean stop diddling your special parts. Although, if you're doing that like 15 times a day, you may want to cut down on that a bit as well. What I mean is masturbation in a more figurative sense, all of those superficial, self-pleasuring habits you indulge in on a regular basis. Whether it's eating 11 too many desserts, or staying up until 4 a.m. trying to rank up in League of Legends, or lying to your buddies and telling them you totally banged that hot blonde last Saturday when really, you just got so drunk that you passed out in a fetal position in the backseat of your car. These are all petty, insignificant self-indulgences. And it's hard these days. No, not your cock. Resisting giving in to them is hard. Because they do feel good. For a little while. But their meaninglessness will eventually consume you. There's this really weird chapter in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich where he talks about how Thomas Edison refused to have sex or something, and that's how he came up with 10,000 patents. I don't know, it made very little sense, but the idea was that sex releases energy that could otherwise be directed towards more productive and useful endeavors. I'm not going to go that far, as I like polishing the old knob as much as the next guy. But I think the real lesson here is to learn how to self-regulate your self-indulgences.